Hello, 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 and welcome to My Empty Hands, a podcast about the martial arts, typically with a focus on Kempo. As always, I am Reggie Darden, and I am overjoyed once again at a loss for words, excited to have a true martial arts legend and all around awesome person. Ms. Karen Sheperd, and we are going to get into her story and um, yeah, I'm just really blown away by all the wonderful folks that I've been able to have on to talk to, and if you would have got to the uh, young '80s '90s version of me and said, "Oh yeah, you're gonna get to talk to Karen Sheperd," I would have said, quit lying and get out of my face. Um, but yeah, here we are. We are going to get into your journey. Where it all started for you. We're obviously or definitely going to talk about your I guess a fight with Cynthia Rothrock in Righting Wrongs, or also known as Above the Law, a movie for those that may not be familiar with. Excellent martial arts movie, action movie to see that. We'll definitely get into your role on Hercules, the Hercules TV show. Excellent work with that, and also something that I didn't realize until kind of recently, that you were the stunt double on one of my favorite shows, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and so we'll definitely have to touch on that a little bit too. Um, but yeah, we'll just there's so many things that we'll want to get into, but we'll try. I'll try and contain myself, and we'll keep it to a manageable amount. But yeah, let's start with the beginning. Where and when did the martial arts find you, and where did it all start?
Well, first of all, thank you, Reggie, for having me on. I appreciate the invitation. And I'm very happy to see your show be growing, and I'm happy to support it. And I wish you all the best. And um, again, just thank you. I appreciate the time. Um, where did it all begin? Wow, it was a long time ago. The- it began in Oregon, and I was a quite young girl, and Bruce Lee was just coming onto the scene. And I met a girl, a friend, who invited me to her Kajukenbo class. And that was really a whole story in itself. The way that happened is like, um, oh, no, I have to backtrack. How it started was I had a credit for a class that I had to fill. Um, on my schedule, and they posted like the classes on this big board, and I had to fill one credit, and I'm looking on the board, what's left? Well, everything's been kind of filled except look at up there, there's karate. Karate. We're talking like 70s. So I thought, well, that sounds really exotic. I don't know anybody doing karate. So I think I'm just going to give it a try. It's an extra credit. I have to fill whatever. So I took the class, and it happened to be taught by, it was a 3 or 4 months credit I had to fill, and it was a Shotokan style. And the moves to me felt so natural. I was like, not, it's like I had done it before. And at the end of the course, the instructor, who also had a karate school in the town where I live, said, you really should pursue this, and you should come take classes and go for your, belt rankings and do all that. And, well, I couldn't afford it, and my father couldn't afford it. My parents couldn't afford it. My dad was a professor at the University of Oregon, and but we were on a tight budget. And for this me as young as I was, and as interested in everything I was, he thought it was a passing phase, and so he said, "No, we can't afford to do that." Um, so I passed on that, and then later on, I met a Chinese Tai Chi teacher. So we teaching Yang style for extra money on the side, because he was going to the university, and he asked, and he said, "Come to try out my Tai Chi class." So I did that, and everybody was a lot older than me, but I really loved it because it was, like I said, it was Yang style, and it was he taught the application. It wasn't just for meditation or, relaxation, but he taught the applicable moves, like what animal you're mimicking and what the fighting application for the move in the Tai Chi form was for. And I thought that was so fascinating. And he would do it really fast. Like, I mean, we learned it slow, but he would do the Tai Chi form fast with ferocity. And that just like, wow, that's really cool. And then I'll fast forward, then I finally got in college, and I met a girl who we sat down together in this course, and she turned to me and said, "This is going to be a really hard course. Do you want to?" And it happened to be in Chinese language. Um, And she turned and said to me, "I'll help you study through this if you help me." And so we became really tight friends. And she had been taking Kaju Kempo with the karate club that was on the campus. And she said, "Why don't you come to, my Kaju Kempo class?" And I don't know what Reggie, this is really one of those inexplicable things that, only I think God had planned for me, because we stayed up all night long. She had me go to her house. She had a pattern made out of newspaper that was for a Kempo uniform. I mean, with the traditional Mandarin collar, which is what Kaja Kempo used. But it was black gi, basically. And we stayed up all night long, and she helped me sew this gi. Even before I went to a class, she said, you have to wear this. We have to make this for you." We stayed up all night, and she was a meticulous person. Everything. I mean, her house was meticulous. He was a meticulous cook. She was perfect at everything she did. She was just like really focused. She ended up being the first female um, detective in Portland, Oregon. And it was just really incredibly energetic. Anyway, so we made this perfectly double stitched flat felled seam black uniform, and I showed up the next day to the first Kaji Kempo class, and that was it. Then that was it. I just knew I was where I belonged, and I loved Kaji Kempo, and especially a form. But we did everything, and we trained hard. We trained old school. We're talking about Professor Adriano Imparato style, blood, sweat, and tears. And then I just started competing. I did some fighting, but I excelled in forms, and I just started winning. And I was very shy. I was young. I was very shy. Um, I was underestimated. Nobody ever thought that, really paid a whole lot of attention to me, except for quite a few of the men in the class. Really, there were only 2 or 3 women, and they really didn't want them there. So they were kind of extra hard on us, trying to get us to quit. Well, that's not me. So I just kept going, and I kept competing, and nobody would watch me though. They wouldn't come to my ring and watch me compete. So afterwards, I go and tell my instructor, "Look, I won first place. Here's my trophy," or whatever, and they'd be shocked, like, "Wow, really?" And to me, it was like really, it was really cool. Um, I wasn't like proud. I was just like, well, this is a kind of how, yeah, this is kind of how it's supposed to be. I love doing forms um, and it was enjoyable. I wasn't nervous. It was fun. I had this very innocent kind of attitude about it until I started advancing, and then the competition. I started going up in ranking, and at this time, then Bruce Lee was definitely on the scene, and I was going to every single movie he made, and I was kept recording them at the drive-in movie theater. I was going home and I was mimicking his sounds and the moves, and I was like, I want to be the first female Bruce Lee, man. That's what I want to do so bad. And that's kind of how it all started. And then, of course, I ended up moving because I saw Eric Lee, Malia DeCoscos, Al DeCoscos on stage in San Francisco in 1970. I can't remember. So long ago. It was the last. Wait a minute. Um, that was held at this big auditorium in San Francisco, and I saw them on stage do their forms, and they were champion. Malia was a champion. Eric was amazing champion, and I said that's who I want to learn from. That's what I got to do. That's It just feels like it's in my blood. It's like, and I went back home. I had driven down there with a group of students. Well, they drove. I rode in a crammed car. We all drove down to the big tournament in San Francisco and drove all the way back home. And then I remember telling my father that I wanted to move to Colorado to study with, at that time, it was Alan Malia DaCosta. They're no longer together. It's now Al DaCoscos and Malia Brunel DaCosta, or DaCoscos Brunel. Um, and my dad said, if you quit now, the chances of you ever going back to school and getting a degree are less than 10%. Just know that. I said, oh, well, I'll go back to school. Don't worry. I will, I will, I will. Well, I sort of did and I sort of didn't. But I did move to Colorado and I studied. That's where I really dove in, and then became a student of One Hap Kido Do, which is a combination art of karate, judo, jujitsu, kempo, and kung fu, Chinese boxing, street fighting, little jeet kune do, that Aldo Costco's had formed. And it was like nothing I had ever seen, but it allowed a freedom of movement. The system allows for, if you have something to bring to it that makes this technique better, to do it, right? It's not a regimented, it's an ever-growing system. In fact, Sifu, I call him Sifu. He's Grandmaster Alakazbe. I call him Sifu because he's my Sifu. Is still evolving. I mean, he came up with the Costco's tactical style, which is just an amazing street fighting defense. Um, but he always did that, but he's just kind of refined it. And so if a student say can't do a technique very well or whatever, they can adapt it to fit. So that kind of freedom and of expression physically for me was really where it was at. I wasn't satisfied with the regimented movements of like say Shotokan or the regimented system. Um, so that's in a nutshell kind of how I got started.
Very nice.
And then from there, I started competing on the national circuit. Um, I'll let you interject because I'm talking too much.
Oh no, no. As I tell many of my guests, one of the things that I love about doing this show is that um, Kempo people, martial artists, like to talk, and that makes my job easier because I don't have to come up with great things to to say. So I just let the guest go, and that's perfectly fine. I did want to. A couple of things that kind of came to mind as you were speaking. Um, One being, I'm kind of surprised that um, going from Tai Chi to Kajikembo, and you being more kind of focused on the form aspect of it. I'm kind of surprised that you didn't gravitate towards like a kung fu type style or get kind of deeper into Tai Chi, and uh, it's quite a switch to go from something like Tai Chi to Kajikembo. Um, I'm not.
Well,
Oh, go ahead.
no, go ahead.
Well, just kind of from what I know of Kajikembo, uh, and especially at the time when you started training in it, that's those really kind of the down and dirty fighting, street fighting, street self defense, and I'm not familiar with kind of how many forms and things like that they have in Kajikembo, but um, if I'm thinking about doing forms, Kajikembo would not be the first art that comes to mind. So I'm interested in how you kind of made that change, uh, being that you had this kind of preference to one or
Well, as I explained when I was doing Tai Chi, when the particular Tai Chi teacher that I had was more of the offensive style of Tai Chi and would display the fighting techniques, but in these beautiful movements. I mean, just beautiful. It was it was kung fu. It was not. It was Tai Chi. He was doing Tai Chi kung or kung fu Tai Chi, whatever you want to call
Mhm.
it. He made it look after we learned the form and we're practicing it slow and we're doing, the techniques, like you think of Tai Chi as a meditative kind of focused art. He would do them and show us the fast way. He'd do the same thing fast, hard. He would ki. He would explain what the fighting technique was, but the movements were so beautiful, especially when they were done fast. So that transition really was like a no-brainer because Haji Kembo did have form. It does have form, and you know, we bring the same kind of, you know, fierceness and um, a lot of the moves were very similar, not exactly the same, but um, being a combination style. We're talking, yeah, we've got taekwondo kicks in there, and there's but one Hapkido, if you have to really describe it, is kung fu. Um, because kung fu is, as encompasses all art basically. All Chinese style of martial art, not, but yet Kaji Tempo and One Hapkido combine arts from, other Japanese, I mean, Korea. Uh, they take kind of like the best of the best um, and meld them is the best that I can explain. So Kaiju Kembo itself was structured. Yes, we had to learn our requirements, you know. hand technique, kicking technique, combination, there's sparring. You had to know so many forms. I mean, and they're regimented training. But when I transitioned to One Hop Kido, which is even more of a kung fu style, Kacha Kempo is more Kempo. If you have to compare style, right? And the method of training. One Hop Kido is an offshoot, basically, of Kacha Kempo, created by Alcatraz, which encompasses more kung fu, more jeet kune do, more street fighting, more creativity of form. So Malia, who was my forms instructor, created forms for me for my competition years. So once I was accepted by her as the student, which was a whole process, he wouldn't even look at me for a couple of years. Um, she was like, she didn't just train anybody. I would be in C4L's classes and doing quite well with forms that we had there, and he would get on um, the big old Chinese drum.
Hmm.
We'd do lion dances, and he would have up to our forms to the drum, and it was such a rush. It was so exciting. Well, one day he sat me down. He said, sit down. After everybody left the room, the school, he said, sit down on the floor. Okay. And we sat against the mirror. And he said, it's really too bad that you're not rich. It's really too bad that you don't have money. Because I was scraping by as a waitress. I was doing everything I can to, um, get discount on my classes from him by cleaning the school, helping in the office, whatever, because I couldn't afford them. But he allowed me to help out, and I was so good that they wanted to train me. Let's just be honest about that. I'm not bragging. Um, but he sat me down and he said, it's too bad you're not wealthy because if you had money to travel the national tournament circuit, you would be a champion. I'm just going to tell you that right now. And I just remember, like, just my heart sank. And I went home crying. And I thought, what am I doing this for? And no, I can't travel. I can't fly to these tournaments all over the country to go to double A. At the time, there was only one rating system. Karate Illustrated had the only rating system at that time. And the double A tournaments were where the points were, where you amassed points and you became rated. Well, I, my heart just for like a couple of days, I was very depressed, and I thought, well, I'm not gonna be a champion. He says I'm good enough, but what can I do about it? Well, the fighting spirit that I had within me, and maybe again it was the Lord. I I was driven. I found I did whatever it took. I took extra job, and I started drive. If I had to drive, if I had to find a ride, if I had to take a bus, a train, uh, find a cheap air flight. I went to the double A rated tournaments that amassed the most points for first place, and I was winning. And but I was the only woman in the divisions most of the time. This was 1979, 1978, 77, 78. A lot of the A-rated and double A-rated tournaments did not even have forms kata divisions for women at all. And I was the only woman rated in the top 10. I was rated number 4 at one point. Um, uh, I think John Chun was number 1. He was number 1 for a long time. Um, but, you know, there was, women would come up to me at these tournaments and they say, wow, we really love what you do and you're doing so well. Um, we just don't want to compete with men. It's like, how can you possibly even, um, it doesn't seem fair. And that didn't sit well with me at all. And I thought about it and I thought about it and I arranged a meeting. I called Renata Barden, who was the editor of Karate Illustrated magazine, who that was the only rating system at the time, like I said. And I was just so innocent and so like brave. I look back on it because I was so shy. I thought, you know what, if there was a rating for women in form, the kata, then more women would come out of the woodwork to compete to go after that title. And I presented him with this formal letter that I had typed up, which I have somewhere. Um, and I arranged a meeting. We had a personal sit down meeting up at Rainbow Publications, Black Belt Magazine, Karate Illustrated. And here I am, this young person. And he was so respectful and kind. He said, well, I think you're right. He said, I think it's only fair that women are rated separately. They're rated separately as fighters. Why shouldn't they be rated? They're rated separately in gymnastics and every other sport. Why shouldn't they be rated separately in college? He said, we have to convince tournament promoters to even have divisions for women. So how are we going to do that? He said, first, I want you to get a petition together, have all the other women who compete, which was a handful. There were a few. There's Belinda Davis, Lori Clapper. There was just a handful of women that competed at these national tournaments. And so I contacted everybody that I could. They signed the petition. Yes, we want to have women form. But then I had to convince the promoters. So I go up to people like Joe Corley, like my third, I think, 1978. Uh, I think my second or third time in Atlanta. And, I explained to him the situation. This is what we're working on. We want you to come here. He had everybody in one division. So it was a ton of men and me and maybe one other woman. Um, he said, well, there's not enough women to pay for the trophy. Like, it's like the cost is not efficient enough to have a division to get the trophies. And I said, you got to trust me on this. If you just do it next year, give it a shot, just think about it. I promise you, women will come out of the woodwork and you'll have your division full of women. So I did that with numerous promoters all around the country. And they started having divisions for women. And so 1979 was the first official ratings for women for Karate Illustrated, which I was number one, which I knew I would be because I had the most points. But the point was that I wanted that in print so that other women could see it and go, oh, maybe I should go after Karen and take that title, right? And thus giving more women participation in tournaments. So I was happy with that. And then I was rated again in 1980, number one. And then the star system came out, Inside Kung Fu in Kick Illustrated had their rating system. So that's kind of like what happened. I'm proud of that contribution because at that time, when we did the studies with Black Belt Magazine, there were only 10% women who even trained in martial arts, let alone competed. So we're talking very few. It was a male-dominated sport. Many women couldn't even, uh, um, didn't have the fortitude for the training. At that time, back in the late 70s, like I said, this was blood, sweat, and tear training. This was not a pat on the back. Oh, you're so good. Here's your stripe on your belt or your trophy. No, you had to earn it the hard way. So, yeah, a lot of women probably, they couldn't, um, didn't have the fortitude to continue. But yet once those ratings came out, and foreign specifically, then there was a new goal to work for. It wasn't just fighting, which Linda Deadly had like #1 all the time every year for like 100 years. She's gonna laugh if she hears this, that I called her 100 years old. She's a good friend. I love her to death. I love her so much. Um, but finally, women had ratings in form. So that made me really happy. And then I got my first film offer midway through 1981. Oh, I had to backtrack. I was the first woman to win grand champion at the U.S. Open in St. Petersburg, Florida, which was a big deal because no woman had ever won grand champion before. And I beat John Chung, George Chung, and
Nice.
Anthony Tan, and all the old guys, right? Not old guys, but the really great one. And that was filmed actually for television. I have that footage. I still have to edit it and post it because it's sitting there. But it made the national nightly news because it was so rare. It never happened before. So that was kind of cool. But then midway through 81, my last tournament was at the Diamond National. And I won that tournament, actually beating Lori Clapper and Cynthia Rothrock, who came in. It was like Lori was second, Cynthia was third, and Belinda, or it wasn't Belinda, I can't remember. But I had gotten a call that morning, or it was like that day before, from Tadashi Yamada, who asked me if I would come to Japan to star in his movie called The Shinobi Ninja. So I did. So that was my last tournament, and I was on a plane with Eric Lee headed to Japan.
Very nice, very nice, very nice. So yeah, that dream of being the female Bruce Lee was was starting to come to fruition there.
I was visualizing it.
Very nice, very nice. We'll probably want to. I'm gonna kind of jump around here because there's, like I mentioned, there's so many items that we want to touch on, but we'll kind of bounce around
I
here.
will let you run with it.
Well, like I tell all my guests, we're gonna have to do part 2 and 3 and 4 because there's just so many things in your career that you've done that we'll won't be able to get into them all on an hour or so show. So we'll definitely have to arrange more. But I'm gonna kind of let's see, where do I want to go here. I do want to touch on the fight with Cynthia Rothrock in Righting Wrongs Above the Law. That movie is where I first got on the Karen Sheperd train. So just how did that come about, and maybe you can just kind of talk a little bit about that scene. And it's always interesting to me, looking at the kind of the Hong Kong action style movies, especially those in the 80s, where you just kind of see the things that they're doing, the choreography and the stunts, and then you look at the American movie side. We're catching up, but just kind of the things that they were doing, I always look at it as just like, how did they get away with this? Because I'm sure the insurance people are not exactly happy with the kind of stunts and things that they're doing in those movies. But just was it a huge kind of shock to to how they do things, or well, I guess I mean, I guess at that point in your career, maybe you hadn't had a super ton of work in the biz at that point, but just kind of what were your thought experience, maybe touch on a little bit of the experience of that.
Absolutely. Was it a shock to the system? Yes. Um, I actually turned that project down 3 times before I accepted it. They called my agent. I had done a couple of films and had worked in Los Angeles locally doing filming, and I they called and it just wasn't enough money. It was like they didn't want to pay me anything, and I didn't want to fly all the way to Hong Kong, which takes forever. And the character, I didn't even have a script. They didn't even show me any kind of script. It was just like, oh, first of all, there was an audition. So there was an open audition my agent got for me. He said, oh, they're auditioning girls, women, for a movie that's going to shoot in Hong Kong. So I go, okay. She said, just go see what happens. So I went down in Hollywood somewhere, and there were all these women, actresses. I didn't see any other martial artists that I knew, except one. Most of them were actresses who said they did martial arts. But I got into the room, and in the room was a Hong Kong stunt team, and nobody was speaking English. And they just basically said through a translator, or the person, the casting director said, they just want to see what you can do. Tell us what you can do. Do some moves. And the room was really small. So I did some moves. I just did, the best that I could with the room that I have, and kind of made up a kata and did some kicks and punches and whatever. And a few days went by, maybe a week, and my agent called and they said, well, they're giving you an offer and they want you for this part in Hong Kong. And I said, well, I really, really want to focus here. I really am not thrilled about going to Hong Kong, especially for the amount of money that they were offering, which is really ridiculous, really, really ridiculous. It's not where my focus is. And so she turned it down, and they called her again and they offered some more money. And I said, no, I would rather not. I didn't even show me a script. What is it? What am I going to do over there? What is it about? Um, had no information, right? And then the third call came in, and she said, okay, Cynthia Rothrock is the star of this movie. There is no script, and she wants you there. And they're going to offer you a little bit more money. So I caved, and I just, okay, let this be an adventure. Let this be a learning experience. And I went, and it sure was. It was a complete shock. For one thing, no, they don't care about insurance. They didn't care about your insurance. You could tell in the film, it's hilarious because you can see our male stunt doubles. They didn't hide them very well. We both had stunt doubles for some of the more dangerous things.
Yeah, I would think so.
But for the most part,
I would think so. I was actually
yeah,
watching that scene earlier today, and I was just looking at it. It was like, as much as that, I would love that you and Cynthia would do some of the things that they do in those movies. It's like on the other side of it, it's like, no, I do not. I want you to be around to make more films, and I don't of course don't want anyone to get hurt, but if someone's going to get hurt,
no, it was
let's get
crazy.
a stunt person to get hurt, so the stars can stick around and make more make more movies.
Well, I'll tell you, everything that we did, the punches, the blocks, the kicks, It's all us. And all the direction, the only direction that we got from the director was harder, harder, faster, faster, harder, harder, faster, 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 harder, faster. And over here, like they film maybe at the most 10 moves at a time, and that's pretty easy to remember. They do a lot of cuts, a lot of edits. Back then over there, we're talking 40, 45 moves, 50 moves, and with only maybe 5 minutes to rehearse it. So cameras rolling, uh, there's no stopping going, what's the next move? We just had to go, no matter what, if we couldn't remember or not. And we had to, the contact was full contact. I mean, our arms, our legs, our what. Cynthia got to wear pads because she had loose pants and a loose shirt. And what did they give me? Skin tight pants and a short sleeve shirt with no pads. Long story short, we were taken to Chinese herbalists at nighttime who cured us of contusion and these horrible bruises with the dip-dap-chow, and just like we would be screaming in pain while this man would like be curing our bruises so they wouldn't show on camera. Yeah, it hurt really bad. There was there was a lot of pain. It was full contact. Um, and the pace and the power, it was like nothing I had ever experienced before. And it wasn't easy, and nobody spoke English, even though they could. So it was kind of difficult. Um, but yet, you know what? I just powered through, and I'm glad I did it because it was really great experience. It was night and day from how they film here to how they film in why the Hong Kong movies look so good. Why do we like to watch those fight scenes? Why we like Jet Li, Jackie Chan? Why do we like, all the old movies? Because they're really real. I mean, they're really hitting hard and really going at it, and there's no cutting. And there's a lot of long shots, a lot of wide shots with no stopping. So I have a lot of respect for that. But no, it wasn't easy, but it was a great learning experience because it made my fighting better. When I got back home and in everything else I did, I was like, I was just blown away, and it completely changed my style of film fighting.
Very nice. Well, I can definitely thank you for doing that. It's one of the things that I love about getting to talk to people in the biz, is that, and just kind of in my own general fandom of movies and things like that, kind of hearing some of these inside stories. So knowing that, hearing that you turned it, that it almost didn't happen. Really kind of blows my mind. There's a lot of just not only in martial arts movies, but just in all kinds of movies in general. There's a lot of the most iconic scenes in just about every movie almost didn't happen. Usually because of things like the studio, the penny pinchers and the bean counters don't want something, or they go, oh well, we have our little focus groups that say that this thing shouldn't be in the movie, but the directors, the actors, the writers, the people that stick to their guns and go, this needs to be in the movie, and it pays off in the end. So I'm excited to hear that you stuck with it and got the assist from Miss Rothrock there and made that incredible scene. I mean, the whole movie itself. So for the listeners out there, if you have not seen this movie, go do yourself a favor. It's got Great fight scenes, great action. It's just a great movie. It's called Above the Law or Righting Wrongs. Um, uh, Goes by different titles, but great movie. So definitely check that out. But your story kind of reminded me.
Yeah, there and
Oh,
then
God.
oh, no, I was just gonna say there's been 2 new DVD releases with commentary,
Oh, okay. I did not
um,
know that.
also by, yeah, 2 different companies. I can, um, go grab them and show them to you real quick, or I can tell you about them. Anyway, yeah, last year, well, year before last year, 2 different film companies did, DVD releases with books that have still photos from the whole movie and also, um, extras on the DVDs. On one of them, I do like a half-hour, interview about the movie on one of the DVDs, so,
Okay.
keep an eye out for those because 'cause they're a little more complete and give a little more information for fans who really appreciate that kind of, film. If the fans of Yoon Bu and, Corey Yuen, the director, does a lot of, interviewing about it.
Oh, very nice. I'll have to get my hands on those. So uh, get more of that goodness. Actually, come to think of it, it's been a minute since I watched the movie, so I'm gonna have to cue that up and rewatch that here pretty soon. Um, but the story kind of made me think about and kind of spoiling this. So I interviewed Keith Cook a little while back. As we're recording, that episode has not been released yet. I need to get to working on that. But uh, yeah, he mentioned we talked about some of his roles and um, he was kind of mentioning just yeah, that's a very different, fast-paced setup for setting up these fight scenes and whatnot. Um, but
Mhm.
he had a lot of interesting stories about things in his career that I had no idea of. And I won't spoil that for the episode, but it just made me kind of curious.
Right.
In your career, has there been any roles that maybe you were up for that you didn't get that maybe you wanted to share, or were there any
Mm.
roles uh, that you wanted to that or like you wish you could have uh, had that role, whether or not you were actually up for it or not, but just a certain movie or something, and it's like, man, I wish I could have been in that role. Is there anything like that?
Yes, there is one. There is one. Um, it was early in my career. I hadn't lived in LA very long. I had only done a few movies, but I was called, to audition for a James Bond movie, called Octopussy, and I would play the lead, um, um, that ended up going to, uh, blanking out on her name
Yeah,
right now,
me
but
too.
anyway, I was a big James Bond fan, and because I used to watch those movies with my dad. We love James Bond, right? And so, I went to the audition. I passed the first round of audition, got a call back, passed the second round of audition. Plus, this lead role actually, had some fighting in it and needed an actress that could actually throw a punch and a kick and, look reasonably, believable doing so. But it was a lead role. It was the lead bad guy in the movie. Um, so then it got narrowed down to 10 women that were chosen to meet Albert Broccoli, the producer. So I got to go meet Albert Broccoli one-on-one in his office, right? And we're talking about the scripts and I was so young and so naive and so inexperienced. I was not ready for that. I was not I had barely I mean I had been studying acting for like a year and a half maybe, but I was raw. I wasn't it wasn't my time. I wasn't ready for it. It was out of my league. But yet he was so kind to me and he was so respectful and he treated me like I was a possibility. He treated me with such respect and kindness. I have no other word for it. It was like I was like inside I'm like, "Oh, I'm in the producer's office of the James Bond movies and a chance to be a James Bond girl. Oh my." I was like out of my mind, like inside. I'm not acting like that. But he knew that I was not ready. He knew that I was, needed a few more years of getting some acting studies under my belt. But the fact that I made it that far was really exciting and wish that, I had had more experience as an actress um, because I studied with all the great acting coaches later, but I wasn't ready. So that one was like, oh, that would have been so cool, right?
Oh yes, yes. No, I'm.
But not meant to be.
Yeah, yeah. No, I definitely get it. I'm. Once again, that's why I love getting to talk to folks such as yourself. Um, just to hear. I mean, that's a huge role. Like I mentioned, Keith Cook had a similar story and something that he was up for that um, unfortunately didn't come to fruition. But yeah, when he brought it up, I was like, I would have never even guessed that was something that was in the pipeline. But yeah, that's huge. So um, man, there's so much. I do want to just get a little bit onto, like I mentioned, Buffy the Vampire Slayer. One of my most favorite shows, and you got to double for Faith on that show, if I understand correctly. Um,
That
probably the better of the Slayers, I would say, but that's me. But um, yeah, just how was it working on that, and especially in comparison to doing the Hong Kong work. Kind of what was it like for you doing that, and kind of how did that come about?
um that came about after I had done quite a few other films. I had made like 3 different films in different parts of the Middle East and around Africa. I travel all over the world and I was working also in LA and I was doing theater. But the acting jobs were not coming in fast enough to pay the bill. I had been asked to double Michelle Pfeiffer in the Batman movie by the stunt coordinator. And I turned that down because I had an offer to star in Eliminator Woman, which is the one we shot in Africa. And that was a starring role, and it was a lot less money. I would have made, you know how much money I would have made doubling Michelle Pfeiffer as Batman? I mean, we're talking like, oh, back then over $100,000 at least. I mean, more.
Hmm.
Um, just minimum. But again, at the same time, I was offered this starring role, and it was like, I always wanted to go to Africa. Like, are you kidding? That's a slam dunk for me. It's not about the money.
Hmm.
So I took the job with Gary Trimble, co-starred with Gary Trimble in, it's called Terminator Woman. Some places have it listed as Eliminator Woman. So I was Terminator Woman. We played cops, but we got to film in South Africa, and then I got to go up to Kenya afterwards, which was a dream come true. Um, but then after I got back from all that, things slowed a little bit, and I needed to pay bills. And um, James Liu took me on a what you call a hustle. He was working in the stunt business also to get, more money on the side because, in stunts, the money is massively huge. And depending on what you're doing, you get more money depending on the difficulty of the stunt. So as a side job, it was like, okay, I don't really want to do stunts, but I really need the money. So I went with him. He drove us to a set of Buffy where Jeff Pruitt, the stunt coordinator, was working with Sophia Crawford, who doubled Michelle Gellar. And so we just chatted and talked, and he said to me, we have this new character coming on the show called Faith, and we think you'd be a really great fight double because there's going to be a lot of fights. And I just thought about it and I said, okay, all right, I'll do it. So we ended up doing a lot of fights, and Jeff's style is Hong Kong style. So like all of the wide shots are um Sophia and me doing like 30, 40 moves, like 25 to 30 moves at a time, nonstop. And some of you can see it in some of the TV shows, you could tell it's that, but um, then we go in tight and, throw in the actresses and they would do just a couple of little moves and whatever they needed to make it the audience believe it was really them. But with her and we were Hong Kong style fighting. So it was full contact. I mean full contact. Kicks, punches, everything. The same kind of energy that I had to have in Hong Kong. That's how Jeff worked. That's how we worked on that show, on Buffy and Angel. Um, and then I ended up doing a lot of other things besides fighting as well. I learned how to do other things like jump out of trucks and air rams and climb walls and um, ratchets and whatever. So it was that was a whole chapter, but we had fun.
Very nice, very nice. Yeah, we'll get into that more in part 2 and 3 and 4 at another time.
Sure.
But yeah, no, that was one of the reasons why I loved that show, was because I remember watching the show, and actually even now when I revisit it, it's just like I was always kind of surprised by the action and the fight scenes and things, and like I mentioned with the Hong Kong movies versus the American movies, it's like watching it and thinking, like, wow, we don't usually get this level of intensity in fights in American television, especially on kind of a little silly silly vampire show.
Yeah.
But I mean,
Yeah, it was like the first of its kind, really, as far as the fights go. Nobody else was doing that.
yeah, for sure, for sure, for sure. You mentioned Sophia Crawford, and that actually just kind of jarred a thought. Were you ever approached to be on WMAC Masters?
No, I didn't. I know people that were on it and have friends that were on the show, but no, I that's not something I wanted to do.
Oh, okay, okay, okay. Very,
No,
very cool, very cool.
no, I was just focusing on acting, and I didn't want to do any more. I didn't want to. I already had slammed my body all over the place, and really didn't need any more of that.
Gotcha, gotcha, gotcha. Sounds good. Okay, so we're flying through time here. So I'm gonna move on to one other topic here, and then we'll head into our lightning round. Um,
Uh-oh. Okay.
but before we get to that, so I'm curious. Since you were doing the acting thing, did you do any of the teaching as far as martial arts goes? Did you kind of get into that at all, or was it just focused on the showbiz career?
Yes, I did. I taught some group classes. I taught privately. Um, I had a whole gym set up. in my home and had some, yes, I did. I did have paintings.
And were you a fan of that, or did you
I
maybe?
love painting. Oh, yes. No, actually, always wanted a school and wrestled with that concept for quite a long time. Um, but it just never came to fruition, like the actual, business end of it and thinking it through and setting it up and is that something I really could I didn't want to do it if I wasn't going to give it my all, but did I want that to be my all? No, I still wanted to do films. I still wanted to pursue acting. Um, that's where my heart was, and I didn't want to do it half-heartedly. But I thought, okay, teaching privates and teaching in a small environment, whether we're in a park or in my gym, or at someone's house, whatever, at least I'm teaching someone. I'm passing along the knowledge, and I'm helping them grow and learn something new that they had never even tried before. And um, I loved encouraging people. It didn't matter. I taught people who had disabilities, which I guess that got handed down from my father, who was a professor of special education. And I grew up while he was getting his degrees around people with disabilities because he had to qualify for his degrees by working with handicapped children and people with disabilities. So I would go with him on these outings to go bowling with kids that were mentally retarded or they had disabilities or whatever. And to me, it was normal because that's what we did. And so I kind of continued that when I was teaching privately and encouraged people with disabilities to be able to do the martial arts no matter what their disability was. And that opened up a whole new world for them. And so, why would I not want to do that? Again, was that God? I don't know. But that was special to me, even though they were small groups and it wasn't a big school and it wasn't about money because I wasn't making money at it. Um, but teaching was definitely important in the way that to me that I could see someone learn one thing, if it was one thing, and the joy that they would get from walking away going, "Wow, I I learned one thing and I did it really well." That was everything.
Very nice, very nice. I like it. I like it. All right, so we are going to move into our lightning round. Just a few little questions as we head towards wrapping up here. First one being,
Okay.
do you have a favorite technique?
Well, probably uh jump spinning hook hits, uh jump spinning outward crescent kicks.
Very nice, very nice. I like it. I like it. Right. Do you have a favorite form and or set?
My competition form, uh, I had two major competition forms that I used. Um, I had more than two, but I kind of stuck to the two during the national circuit time um, because they were so memorable, and I was so successful. I was winning championships with them, and they were custom made for me by my forms teacher, Malia DeCosco Burnell. And she also taught me the steel whip chains, which no other woman was using at the time. So those two, my steel whip chain form and my empty hand form, from competition are my two favorites. There's some Cousin Kimball forms I really like though too. But those two are, in my heart.
No, I feel you. I can relate to that. Very very nice. Very nice. All right. So I guess you may have kind of answered this already, but the next question is, do you have a favorite weapon?
Yeah, the steel whip chain, definitely. I love the broadsword. The steel whip chain is my favorite, always was my favorite, first time I ever saw it. And it's interesting, I had some custom made. Um, I had seen the Chinese chains and to me, they seemed really easy, like light, and they're meant to be so that they whip around real fast. But I must have been out of my mind. But I had these chains made that weighed probably 10 times what a regular Chinese steel whip chain made. And had these big handles and they were on ball bearings. So they spun really smoothly. But I watched the video now of me do it and they were so heavy. It's like, I'm like trying to get those things around. And it's like, oh, they made me stronger. Looking back on it, maybe I should have used the plain old training machine. It 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 would have made for a faster, more exciting. But hey, I did okay and I won. So what can I say?
Yeah, you made it work. If you used the regular, you'd be slightly less awesome. So we can't have that. So I like that you stuck with it. All right. So then the next question: if there's anyone that you could train with, living or dead, fictional or non-fictional, no, I'll go ahead and add in the besides Ed Parker, who would that be?
Besides that puppy. Uh, you know, I would I really wish I could train with my instructors now. I really wish that I could go to Hawaii for like a long time and train with Aldo Cosgrove and learn the tactical system in more detail. It's so awesome, and he's still going at it, and he is still amazing. He is like, I mean, and then I would love to spend time with Malia, the Cosgrove Cornell, and train with her because she's so um she pushes me. She pushed me, so hard, and she's such a good teacher and so strong and supportive. But I'm not able to do that right now, and I wish that I could. Who knows? Maybe in the future, but I don't know.
Well,
So
fingers
I would
crossed.
have to say I would like to have update trainings with them because they're who I truly admired, who I set out, who I left my home for. And when I was with them, it was a very short time. I was really only there maybe 2 years, not even 2 full years before I hit that national circuit. And they went to Germany and their school closed and they moved, excuse me, they moved to Germany. So I didn't get that much time training with them. So that's why I'm saying them now, because there's a lot of knowledge I didn't get. I have I have a lot of it written down, but it would be really nice to just go back and like train with them again.
Gotcha. No, they are two of the greats. So yeah, I could, I would definitely like to do the same. So yeah, I like that answer. It's a great answer. All right. So then the final question: what is something that always motivates you to train? So I use the example of the training montage in the movie Rocky Four. For me, anytime I watch that scene, he's lifting the boulders and chopping the wood and running through the snow, and the Hearts on Fire is playing, and I watch that and I'm like, I'm ready to hit the mats. I'm ready to hit the school and get training. So what is that? What is that
Right.
for you? It could be anything: a movie, a song, just whatever inspires you and motivates you to train.
Rocky 1.
Ah, nice.
No, seriously. I mean, I just rewatched. We just rewatched it not too long ago, and it's still, oh, he's hitting the streets, and the kids are following him, running up on those stairs. It's like, oh, that, yeah, come on. But nowadays, what motivates me is like s- to be able to keep standing. So it's like you if you know you lose it if you snooze. What's the saying? You know,
Yeah.
so got to keep moving, got to keep training, um, just for health and just for vitality, and not only physically, especially physically when you get to be my age, um, but mindfully as well. Physically, spiritually, mentally. Um, when you get to be my age, then it's even more. I mean, that's how I was raised at the beginning. When I started Kage Tempo, we focus on body, mind, spirit. We used to even pray before class. What happened to that? Um, but fast forward now, I mean, through everything I've been through, um, it's kind of like, yeah, body, mind, spirit, um, because I need to in order to stay healthy.
Very nice. I like it. I like it. All right. So our final thing here is shameless self promotion. So if you have anything that you'd like to plug, or if there's anything that we didn't cover in our part one, hint hint, that you want to make sure that you got out there, you have the floor, and say whatever you like.
Well, I'm on Facebook, Karen Sheperd. The only trick is you have to spell Shepherd correctly.
I will put
It's
the proper
phonetic.
spelling in the show
Nobody
notes.
ever gets
I'll put all the
it.
links and
It's
stuff in the
pho-
show notes, so we have it correct.
it, yeah, it's Sheperd. No extra H, no extra A. Just Sheperd. Karen Sheperd on Facebook. Instagram is official Karen Sheperd. Contact me there. Follow me. X is at Real Pay Shep. Um, People can follow me there. I'm way behind. I have my website is down and being completely revamped, so that'll be back eventually. But yeah, people can reach me there, follow me there, contact me there.
All right, sounds good. Like I mentioned, I'll put links to your stuff in the show notes, and make sure that all your fans can find you, and get you some new fans. I mean, everybody should already know about your work, but we will reach out to those that have been living in a cave, and get them to see what
Oh
you're
yes,
doing.
one more. Shameless. Can
Oh
I
yes.
just? And
Oh,
I'm so
of course.
sorry.
No, go ahead.
I'm putting out a call to action to the whole world, the whole country. If anybody has any footage of me competing from 1970, 78, 79, 80, um, please contact me via one of those social media platforms. I will pay for the footage. I People are screaming to see my old, but you know what? Back then we didn't have cell phones with cameras. Back then, we didn't even have video cameras. We had these massive, they were just coming out, these massive video, like movie cameras. Nobody had one. So I have no footage. I have no real footage. There are 3 TV shows that did bits on me, or did um, segments about me that film me competing that I still have to have edited and uploaded. So I will be adding more to my YouTube channel of from those TV shows that show me winning a grand championship and competing at some other things. But as far as the old raw footage that people might have taken with their movie cameras, their little, 8 millimeter whatevers, if anybody out there has filmed me from the audience, and still has that, please contact me because I have people asking for it.
Very nice.
and want to see it. And I want to see
I
it.
do too. I do
And I
too.
will, like I said, it's history. And it would be wonderful if you know someone some people do have that footage. It'd be great. It'd be marvelous.
Excellent, excellent. Yeah, yeah. I want to see that. I want to see that too. So yeah, everyone, dust off those VHS and whatever else that you got, and let's find that footage and get it out there. So yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah, and I didn't when I traveled the pyramid circuit. I traveled alone. I didn't have a group of students with me because Sifu Al and Malia had moved to Germany, and I was on my own. And I traveled all by myself, and nobody went with me. I didn't have family with me, so nobody brought cameras or movie cameras, or I didn't even think to have somebody ask somebody to film it on their movie camera and give me a copy. I never even think about it. I was so focused on competition and so focused on being nervous and trying not to throw up in the bathroom beforehand that I didn't think about it. I didn't think about it. I know people film me. I saw the cameras out there. I saw people filming on their little movie cameras. So I know, I'm hoping somebody comes forward with it for me. That'd be, I guess. Anyway, I thank you so much. It's so nice to be able to speak with you. And of course, I'll come back anytime. And I'm sorry if I talk too much.
Oh no, like I mentioned, I can't thank you enough, and I will probably try try offline here. Just thank you so much for taking the time to be on and sharing your story. And I've got to go through and rewatch all your stuff again, just to get refreshed on it with this new perspective. And yeah, I we'll definitely have to do this again. I mean, we didn't even touch on Hercules, and
No,
so yeah, so yeah, we will.
no, each story is like a whole show. I mean,
Yeah,
really.
yeah. No, I agree. I will put out a shout out to the Everyday Martial Artist podcast with Brian Doucette. You were on that, so. Yeah, and you did share some of that on your interview with him. So if you all are listening and haven't checked out his show, definitely get on that. And yeah, I just
That's great. That's very nice of you. Yes, Brian got a great show. Thank you for that.
so yeah. Once again, I can't thank you enough, and we will definitely do this again. I can't wait to get this out for everyone to hear, and I will be in touch when this is ready to go out.
Great, wonderful. Thank you so much. I really appreciate your time and good questions and letting me go back into the past.
Thank you for listening to My Empty Hands. If you enjoyed the show, please share it with a friend. If you didn't enjoy it, please share it with an enemy. If you'd like to be a guest, or if you would like to recommend a guest for the show, please email me at podcast@talkingkempo.com. Thank you.